You're listening to Sportscall on Tiger 93.9, WTGZ, Union Springs, Montgomery, and Auburn, and AM 620 WTRP, LaGrange.
You better buckle your seatbelts because it's going to be a show to watch.
From Tiger Communications.
Jackson, touchdown.
For 20 years, East Alabama's sports talk leader.
Swing and drive, bounce it right.
Sportscall.
Oh, what a dunk.
Call in now at 887-3401 Locomotive.
He got it.
Or 1-888-9-TIGER-9 toll free.
Struck him out.
And now, coming to you live from the loveliest village on the plains, Sports Call.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Sports Call on this Thursday afternoon. My name is Andy Graham, alongside my partner, Brett Pritchard. We'll be with you for the next 2 hours, taking your calls and talking about everything relevant in the world of sports. A little change up today. Will Moon would normally be with you. We'd be with you on Friday, but Will's going to be with you on Friday and take that position. We'll obviously here with you today. Give us a call at locally 887-3401 or toll free 1-888-9-TIGER-9. We encourage you to be part of the program. It's just that easy. Punch those numbers into your phone in that order, and you can be a part of the program. That brings us to our question of the day in our opening segment. Question of the day brought to you by Lee Marketing Group. For signage, tees, web design, and more, call on LMG today at 334-742-0197. LMG, success by design. The question of the day, Brett, kind of a relevant one. There's going to be a big vote by the Northwestern football players tomorrow about whether to form a union. So this question is simple today. What will that vote be? What will the Northwestern players vote? Yes or no? Obviously this has been a big topic. People have gone back and forth. Initially, when this came up, everybody just assumed that they were going to vote yes. There had been some talk here lately by the Northwestern players that seems to maybe indicate that they may not vote yes. So now, in all fairness, we probably are not going to know the outcome of this vote for quite some time. The Northwestern University has appealed the NLRB ruling that Northwestern could unionize. The players are considered employees. So they're going to vote tomorrow. Now, that vote will more than likely be sealed, and until this appeal is heard by the National NLRB board in Washington. And after that takes place, it kind of gets a little hazy. After that appeal is heard, whether, if a majority of the players, now 76 Northwestern players, those are the ones that are eligible, they're going to vote. Now, if a majority of those players vote to unionize and the appeal is denied and they say that, yes, they can, they are eligible to form that union, then, you'll see that this collective bargaining process begin. And you'll more than likely see Northwestern fail to negotiate, and then they'll sue for unfair labor practices, and it'll go to the courts. If Northwestern kind of refuses and, the case goes to federal court, who knows, it could go all the way to the Supreme Court. And who knows, it might be years before, obviously this is settled. But, what's your take on it, as far as, unionizing, good for college football, bad for college football, and what do you think is going to happen tomorrow?
I just think it's bad. I said it with Tom Luganbill on here, and Tom Luganbill, I agreed with him. It's just not in the realm of what we ought to be doing in collegiate athletics. It's so much more than just these players getting a check, getting paid. It goes so much further than that. When you become an employee now of a university, then you're getting paid, but yes, you have a lot of other responsibilities to Uncle Sam and the things that go with it, with insurance and all that kind of stuff. And, I don't think a lot of these, 16, 17, 18, and 19-year-old kids are really thinking about that. A lot of them don't even understand. They just expect, oh, I'm going to be here to play football. I'm going to get paid to do it. They don't think about those things on the peripheral that go along with that paycheck and the taxes and the things. And it changes the landscape of college football. That's what we talked about. And, that's what Tom Luganville was trying to say is like, look, let's take a step back and realize what we're doing here, and what's going on. And you're right. I mean, this thing could go on for a year, 2 years, whatever. It is historical tomorrow that they're even voting on this. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. You said before the show started that, the word is that they may decide to not vote it in. They may decide to vote against it now. It's similar to the rule on the 10-second rule in college football. There was so much steam and there was so much push for that rule by a few people, and then once it got publicized and everybody started analyzing, it didn't look so good anymore, and the ones that were pushing for it kind of wanted it to go away because they kind of were embarrassed about it a little bit almost. And it's kind of like this. At one point in time when it came up, it sounded like a good thing for a little while to some of these players. And now that they've had time to hear all the arguments and hear all the things laid out about it, it doesn't look so good anymore. It wasn't as flashy as it once was when they first brought it up.
Yeah, the College Players, College Athletes Players Association is the one certainly pushing this, and they are the ones that are going to be representing. So they certainly have a vested interest in this. That's one of the reasons. Sure, I don't have any doubt that they have some altruistic, intentions in that they want to, be what's best for the players and want everything that's good for the players to be brought to the forefront. They want them to have a voice in the votes and all this kind of thing. And that's true, but don't be fooled. They certainly have an agenda. Now, what's going to happen? Let's say Northwestern goes out tomorrow and votes no. Then
this is a major blow.
They come back and they say, yes, you can unionize. They uphold the original NLRB ruling to say that they can. Well, Northwestern cannot vote again to unionize for 1 year. Okay, so that's dead there for a year. Now they'll probably move on to another school, but the fact that they uphold the ruling when that appeal comes, whether they do or that's kind of a big deal too. So, but one thing that's kind of changed this is you see the Northwestern coach coming involved, and he's telling his players, I don't think this is a good idea. And then you see some of the older players in Northwestern coming out saying, this has been a distraction. We don't think this is necessary. Coach Fitzgerald, represents us. He's done a great job. We feel like we get, exactly what we deserve at Northwestern. They treat us really well. How is this going to affect the team itself at Northwestern? This could cause division.
No, it definitely can. And I'm not trying to say that I'm just so black and white with the rule here that it's either this way or this way. I know there's some gray area in there, and there's some things that I feel like players could be compensated on. But it's like Tom Luganville said, there's so much out. I mean, look at these player lounges. Look at these facilities now. Look at what these universities are doing with the money. And it's not the same as it was 15, 20 years ago. And I know major TV contracts are the major talk of why these players should be getting paid because all these universities are getting all this money, but they're reinvesting it in the facilities, in the stadiums to enhance it, to make it a more conducive environment for them to be successful, in athletics. It's not like they're pocketing all the top executives. I mean, the coaches are making great money, but it's like also again to go piggyback on what Tom Luganville said. Those guys went to college and got a degree and went out and started as a GA somewhere and as an assistant and moved up the ranks and made it to where they are professionally. And that's why they're making the money that they make. CEOs of companies, it's very rare you see a 21, 22-year-old kid become a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. and go ahead and start making millions of dollars. You know, he or she had to start somewhere and be somebody under somebody, and then get a department, and then get maybe a division of a company. You know, it's an entitlement thing, whether it's not enough. You know, what we have is not enough. We got to have more. You know, on the interview with the Meet the Bagman article, you know, let's pay them $40,000. Well, it's not going to stop, you know, handshake. You know, that's what he was saying. It's not going to stop. Just because you pay somebody doesn't mean you're going to stop all this other stuff as well. I mean, if you pay somebody something, a certain amount of money, they're going to want some more eventually. Well, that's not going to be enough, and then you're going to want to up it, and then up it, and up it, and up it. I mean, it becomes letting the cat out of the bag. It becomes opening a can of worms that I don't know if we want to do.
I think that's a good point. The Lee Marketing Group question of the day: what will Northwestern players vote tomorrow? Yes or no? On the idea of will they unionize or won't they? Mike Slive came out, and the SEC commissioner, and he has talked about, you know, we keep talking about these things in the future, about, you know, the future of college football. The future's now. This vote takes place tomorrow. There's a vote going before a committee about where to make the 5 power conferences autonomous in certain areas. Let them create their own rules.
We know that's coming.
That's coming. And Mike Slive says that if we do this, then it's going to take care of a lot of these problems. If you let, you know, and that's kind of always been the problem. And, you know, the NCAA has always tried to create a level playing field. And that's just not really reality at this point. Because of the money that's involved in it, because of the power of these 5 conferences. We're talking about, of course, the SEC, ACC, Big 10, Big 12, and Pac-12. 65 institutions. You know, how much? You know, who decides how much power they get? You know, how do we decide who votes on what? Is this an exclusive club? Can another conference rise up to the level to join this club? These are questions that still have to be answered. But if you do give them this power, because they have the money to do these things, it's going to create really 2 different sets of college football.
Well, what you're going to have is the SEC and the Big 12 and the Pac-12 and the ACC and the Big 10, and all of those are going to become the minor league for the NFL. It's going to be, you know, autonomy, like you said, autonomy. They're going to create their own rules. There's going to be a lot of money involved in playing, so, you know, that's going to be a high level. Then the rest of everybody's going to play college football like we've all known it. That's what it's going to boil down to. That's what your separation is going to be. And, you know, you can choose to continue to follow your team or your university when they do it, because Auburn's going to be in that group. Alabama's going to be in that group. Florida's going to be in that group. Florida State's going to be in that group. Duke, North Carolina are going to be in that group, because think about it. This goes a little bit further than football. It does go to college basketball as well. I know it's not near as big of a deal, and college football is really what makes all of this go, you know, makes the wheel turn, and is really the reason we're making these decisions, or they're going to make these decisions. But, you know, for the most